Welcome to VERSED, the ASCAP podcast. I'm Eric Philbrook, and I'm pleased to present this special episode in partnership with the ASCAP Lab. The ASCAP Lab is ASCAP's innovation initiative, where the organization experiments to create the ASCAP of the next 100 years. Its mission is to explore advanced technologies, new business approaches, and creative collaborations with the intent to foster and expand new ways to serve and support ASCAP members, all part of our commitment to being creative first, future forward. One way it is achieving this goal is with the ASCAP Lab Challenge. Launched in 2020, this annual Innovation Accelerator program, operated in partnership with the NYC Media Lab, led by the NYU Tandon School of Engineering, provides selected startups and university teams with mentorship and small grants to develop and expand upon their emerging technologies during a 12-week program. The ASCAP Lab works closely with each selected team to optimize their strategies and product offerings for the music creator community. The 2024 program, dubbed the AI and the Business of Music Challenge, brought together ASCAP senior strategy, operations, and legal experts, key ASCAP writer, composer, and publisher members, and 5 of the most promising music tech entrepreneurs and early-stage startups in an effort to shape how AI tools can benefit music creators. The teams were CRESQA, Music Tomorrow, RoEx, SoundSafe.ai, and Wavelets AI. Together, the cohort explored business solutions enabled by AI that help music creators market, master, and protect their music. So this episode invites you to meet the 5 teams and an ASCAP member who is also a startup founder and participated in the challenge as a mentor to learn more about their experience and their unique contributions. So let's get into it. To kick things off, I talked to acclaimed ASCAP composer Gregg Lehrman, known for his work on such films as Avatar and Inglourious Basterds, who mentored this year's teams from his unique perspective as a music creator and a music tech entrepreneur himself. Thanks for joining us, Gregg Lehrman. You have one of the more interesting careers I've encountered at ASCAP. You are an accomplished composer, but you are also an entrepreneur and a tech startup yourself. I'd be most interested in learning when those two things actually cross paths and how you came to be what you refer to as a technologist, as in addition to being a music composer.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a huge fan of ASCAP. I've been an ASCAP writer for 20 plus years, so it means the world to be here. Yeah, I mean, look, my dream was to write music for a living. That's what I wanted to do. And, long before I was, writing professionally on a daily basis, some of the work that I had done for Apple and for other software companies is involved in creating sounds and content. And so early on, I learned about making content for software. And I think later on, I just realized that there were some tools out there that I wish I had. And so I was moving down the path of trying to, I was writing music for a living, and the career was actually starting to take off at that time. I was doing Ground Floor on TBS, which was produced by Bill Lawrence, same team, same producer that ended up doing Ted Lasso and Bad Monkey and had done Scrubs before. And I was working on Ocean Warriors, which was David Casey and Robert Redford, and some Saturday Night Live licenses and trailers. And it was like things were taking off. And at the same time, there were tools that I really wished that were around. And so on the side, I decided to start building them. And originally, it was just going to be for me to improve my ability to write music. And, I noticed that a lot of other people wanted it. And so it ended up turning into output. And, it was a tough thing because as a company starts to grow and your writing career starts to grow, you realize there's just not enough hours in the day. So, but it was an exciting time.
What did Output provide in terms of a service for composing?
Yeah, I mean, look, Output was a company that focused on making tools for music makers. We started by making instruments, we made effects, we made hardware, desks and speakers. I mean, I was a music maker. All the people that we hired early on, they were all music makers. We literally just sat around in a circle trying to figure out what were the things that we always dreamt of, that we wanted ourselves. And that's what we did. And we always knew that we had a good product if people were staying late and actually making music with the tools that we were working on. So this was always a company, built by musicians for musicians. And I think the products were focused on helping people be creative and really on the writing and producing process.
You mentioned you've been a longtime ASCAP member. What role has ASCAP played in your career through the years?
I mean, ASCAP's been amazing. I signed on to ASCAP probably when I was about 22 years old. And, they've always represented me as both a writer, a composer, a publisher. And, look, the reality was I was writing lots and lots of music, and you start and you're making absolutely no money whatsoever. And over time, hopefully you make a little bit more and more. And my royalties from ASCAP were the thing that allowed me to start output. Starting a new company is really hard, and you often don't have any money. And in fact, the first 3 or 4 years of output, I didn't take a penny. Not only did I not have a salary and not make any money, I had to spend all the money. There was a bootstrap company. We didn't go out. We didn't raise a bunch of money. This was all coming from my pocket. And so, the royalties from ASCAP, that was the resources that I had that funded the launch of output. So I'm unbelievably grateful for the relationship with ASCAP, because without ASCAP, I wouldn't have had the means to put together the company.
So you seem like the perfect candidate to be a mentor to the ASCAP Lab's AI and the Business of Music Challenge. You seem to bring to the table not only the music composer side of yourself, but also the business side of yourself. Let's talk a little bit about what it was like to meet some of these teams and to actually share your perspectives with these folks that are trying to start up companies that are developing tools to help you and your fellow music creators.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're all doing is amazing, right? I mean, it's the types of advice that myself and other mentors are giving, like, it's so unbelievably useful for these startups. And right now, I mean, it's a pretty complicated time in technology, right? I mean, you've got the introduction of AI in a really meaningful way, and the impact of that, especially on music companies. And I think everybody has to struggle with, okay, what does that mean for our business? And they have to make a stand for what's important to them. I think a lot of these teams and the participants here, they're heads down in a room somewhere trying to just figure out how to get a product out the door and how to get product market fit. And sometimes it's easy to see the path forward when you can get advice from people that have actually done and succeeded with it.
So based on your experience with this year's program, what would you tell some of your fellow music creators about how important it is that ASCAP is actually stepping into this space and incubating some of these startups early on so they understand the needs and the rights of composers?
Yeah, I mean, look, ASCAP is one of the best connectors of talent in the world, right? And if you think about it, when you need to reach writers, producers, publishers, labels, attorneys, I mean, ASCAP really sits in the middle of all that. And so I think having ASCAP, behind you is a huge opportunity. I was just talking with Lucas Keller over at Milk and Honey. And one of the things that he said, I said to him, what's your advice? How do you get started? How do you get your foot in the door in terms of making music? And the first thing he said was, walk over to ASCAP, talk to, your PROs, right? They know everybody. And he's absolutely right. I mean, you're right smack in the middle of the industry. So I think it's fantastic that you're helping out.
So AI is presenting a lot of opportunities, as you've said, but there is still a lot of uncertainty among music creators who are a little wary of it, worried about the downside of it. What do you tell people that that are anxious about this, about how you shouldn't fear it, embrace it, and ultimately, if we treat it right, it will become a tool?
Look, I'm a music maker. I fear it as well. I mean, I think that we all, as music makers, are worried about AI. We're worried about people being able to just type in a prompt and have a song fully written, and what is the impact of that on our careers, on our livelihoods. It is totally a worrisome thing. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a believer that music is about more than just the song, right? It's about the community. It's about the live experience. It's about what the artist represents. And so, you know, do I think there'll be generative music that sounds really good that people might listen to in the background? 100%. Will I listen to generative music all the time? No, because I want to listen to artists that I love and respect and want to go see live and I care about. I mean, there's really an emotional connection. And so I think we have to be realistic that there is a world of AI and it's not going away. It's just going to get more and more intense. But I think there's going to be just a whole, you know, sort of a ton of people that really want to double down on human made music. And I think it becomes that much more important in a world where there's so much content being generated, what the artist is about and being able to see them live, like that becomes so much more important.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end this. Thank you, Gregg, for being an ASCAP member. Thank you for being part of the ASCAP Labs challenge. You really brought a lot to the table, and we really appreciate it. So keep up the great work.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great to do it, and pleasure. Nice to see you, Eric.
Next, we'll hear from Maria Brachmańska and Karol from CRESQA. CRESQA is an AI social media content assistant designed for songwriters and musicians that automates the process of social media strategy development and helps generate fully personalized post ideas and schedules for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and more. Karol and Maria, thanks for joining us. To kick things off, CRESQA is a tool that specifically empowers music creators to better manage themselves. Where did this boundless love for helping songwriters and musicians originate?
So this entire idea originates, I believe, from my own work, because in my personal time, I am a content creator and also a content strategist within my own music marketing agency, Substandard, which has been started out of passion for just making things and creating. I believe that being an indie musician is a very empowering move in the current music industry. And I always wanted to make it easier for people to become indie artists and to actually compete with labels and stay independent as long as they can. And, you know, having a music marketing agency was already, in a way, my contribution to that sentiment, to that mission of mine, to empower people to become independent. However, of course, there's only a finite amount of people that you can help with this kind of a venture, right? Because I only have 24 hours in my day, right, and I can help just a few artists every month or every year. But actually, the idea for CRESQA was to extend that, to copy my brain, my content strategist brain, and offer it to a wider audience, also for maybe a more, let's say, budget-friendly price, right, which of course helps more people access it. So that's where the idea originated from my own work.
And so, at what point did the ability to harness AI and some of the new technology, which is really exploding at an incredible rate in the last few years, when did that come into play and provide an opportunity to create this service?
So again, that's something that I have started using myself a while ago already. So, you know, you can probably imagine, if you work as a content strategist or a social media manager, creative director, or whatever in a marketing agency, you have to stay creative for very long periods of time and quickly switch from one artist to another. So whenever, you know, you get 5 artists in your roster, you have to think for 5 people essentially in terms of social media content, right? And as soon as I found out about large language models like ChatGPT, for example, I got very curious about this, of course, as a business owner, because I saw a huge opportunity in that to scale my services and also to take a little bit of the workload off of my shoulders.
Right.
And I started trying to use these tools in order to not only, maybe create text, but also to just simply brainstorm ideas. Because oftentimes, when you're in your room alone, locked in front of your computer, and trying to come up with ideas for 5 different content rollouts, it gets pretty boring. It gets pretty, repetitive, because you feel like you're writing the same things over and over again. And you essentially need a brainstorming partner. And I started using some large language models as these brainstorming partners simply. And after a while, I've realized that this is something that, I could probably also make available to my customers, to my artists that I work with. And that's how this came to be, because I told Karol about this. Karol got, of course, very interested in this as an IT specialist. He saw some sort of opportunity in that, and we got started this way.
So let's say you meet a young artist, a music creator. What is your pitch to them about CRESQA's opportunities?
So CRESQA will definitely help you as a musician build your audience on social media, and all of that in a way that feels real and that feels authentic to you, because the AI that it uses tailors everything that it creates to your audience and to you as a brand. It feels a little bit like putting your social media on autopilot and focusing more on music than on the ways to promote it organically through channels like socials, right?
Right.
So it will help you overcome the writer's block, beat the algorithm, and essentially put together a social media plan within minutes.
So your participation in the ASCAP Lab probably provided some insights that you couldn't have really gathered otherwise. What were some of the great takeaways from your experience with the ASCAP Lab?
I think something that for me personally was an amazing opportunity to learn was essentially exchanging our knowledge and specifically, ways of working as startups, this kind of mindset that you have to have in this type of ventures with other cohort members. I think that we have built some relationships throughout this entire experience. And I think that's what I see as the most valuable. As we know, music business is people's business. And I think this is also no different. So exchanging with other cohort members was definitely a highlight for me personally. But I think yet another takeaway that was very important for us on business level was learning about, our own product market fit, because that was our goal for the entirety of this entire experience, right? We wanted to work on making sure that what we are offering is actually what people want to have and what people want to use, right? So, of course, exchanging with so many music business professionals has enlightened us in many ways. For example, right now we've decided to pivot a little bit in terms of our functionality and the services that CRESQA provides. Because initially, as I said, we were focusing very much on the brainstorming part and creating ideas.
Right.
And now we came to the conclusion that we want to offer a more, let's say, broader package of services, or actually this ultimate social media solution that includes also auto posting of content. So that was a huge takeaway and something that changed the trajectory of where our startup is headed, because we're currently trying to implement the things that we have been pointed to by business professionals, music business professionals we exchanged with.
Right. Karol, what, as an IT guy, what appeals to you about working in this music space, this music marketing space? Because it's definitely there seems to be like infinite possibilities for music creators and people in the music business to really take advantage of some of this technology that you're familiar with.
Okay, so it actually goes back to my roots because I have some basic music and music education and experience, but I haven't actually published anything. I just have some music background, then I just joined tech and changed actually my interest a bit. And now we teamed up with Maria after a few years of education in our separate spaces. And I really like the idea that I can get back to music and create something myself, and maybe something that I can use myself. And actually, I really love to build stuff, build products for other people. Currently, I was focusing on people like me, like developers, and building some tools that might be helpful for them. And I really like the opportunity to team up with Maria to just join this whole big industry that was kind of new to me, and just help this other class of people to do their job better, especially the independent artists, right?
So, a lot of music creators, a lot of songwriters, they're still a little suspicious about AI. It's kind of the talk of the town wherever you go. There are some fears, but there's also opportunities. So, how do you sort of address that when you talk to songwriters?
So I think the music industry is at a very crucial turning point. And as an industry, we have a choice to make about AI. We will probably either use it for, exploiting certain parts of the industry, or we will use it for good, amplifying the reach of human creativity rather than, replacing or undermining it. And we are convinced that no AI can replicate the emotional impact and creativity of music. What it can do is inspire and help magnify its visibility in the media. And, we've seen quite a lot of really talented musicians struggle with social media because it's very complex and it demands consistency. But it's essential for promoting music today. And content strategists and social media advisors who could help are often just simply inaccessible, too expensive for emerging artists. And CRESQA was developed to offer an alternative that empowers people with AI. We're here to make sure that artists can truly devote themselves to what they do best. So like making music, right? Making human connections, while our AI helps them navigate the complex process of social media strategy. And this is essentially our goal. CRESQA is supposed to help artists reach more people, making sure that their creative voice is heard through the noise that AI is going to generate in the coming years.
So thank you, Maria and Karol, for sharing your story with us today. It's very exciting to hear about what CRESQA is up to, and good luck with it.
Thank you so much.
Music Tomorrow has developed analytics tools that monitor and boost artists' algorithmic performance on streaming platforms, using AI for advanced audience insights and automation that improve artists' content discoverability, listeners' engagement, and artist team efficiency. Here is Music Tomorrow's Julie Knibbe and Pierre Niboyet. Pierre and Julie, thanks for joining us. To kick things off, I'm always interested in discovering how you became interested in music and involved in developing technology to support those who create it. So, does someone want to give us your origin story?
I've been passionate about music my whole life, and I tended to explore a lot. So I have started with playing the piano, then the guitar, and then the drums. And while in high school, I had my metal band. So we, at the time, Deftones, and we would play some Deftones and Nirvana up in the streets. And that's really a lifelong passion. But I was also very passionate about the tech. So whenever I could have my hands on computers, I would definitely play around. So I figured, like, initially I wanted to work for a label, but also wanted to work in computer science, and hopefully those two sectors at some point sort of merged. And like long story short, it's been now 10 years for me in the music tech space.
Wow, that's incredible. And how about you, Pierre?
Yeah, my relationship with music is as old as I am. I cannot remember since when I've been like trying to play music, because I've never been a good musician, but I was a wannabe musician. But yeah, bands, singing, playing bass, or many experiences. But the best part I had with music was listening, to be really honest. And I've never expected that there could be like a job or like a career to be made in music. And I had the opportunity after I graduated to take an internship at Warner Music in Paris. And I never left the music industry afterwards. So I didn't merge tech and music, but I approached the tech part of music, I would say, when I joined Deezer, but I was in charge of artist marketing there. So it was still very music oriented. And yeah, I've been in the music industry for like 20 something years now.
Wonderful. So music and technology has always been joined at the hip, probably never more so than today. Music Tomorrow, as I understand it, provides advanced analytic tools that can benefit music creators and businesses in so many different but very important ways. If you had to boil it down, what would be your mission statement?
That would be open the black boxes of AI for the music industry. That's what drives us. And in details, we help artists and labels crack the recommendation algorithms of streaming services. So we help them understand how Spotify sees them, for example, and what they can do about it.
Right. Who would you say is your ideal client or audience, and what is your ultimate vision for all that Music Tomorrow is able to do?
I would say that the ideal client is a client that is not against, algorithmic recommendation. I know some can be. And I think what's really interesting and important that they understand is whatever the size of your project, whatever the size of your audience, it's instrumental that you make all your efforts to to be as easy as possible to understand for Spotify recommender, for DSP's recommender system, because then you allow them to play for you and not against you. And they're not here to be cracked, beaten, or whatever poor things people want to do to those poor things, but they're here to do one job, which is linking your music to the right fan. So you need to make it easy for them to work for you. And that's the sense of what we try to do.
Right. I think we're at a turning point where the potential of this technology to really help music creators is endless, really. But there still is a lot of uncertainty and fear among artists, music creators who don't quite understand it yet. What is your sort of assurance to music creators, songwriters, about how to approach this, how to embrace it, how to keep an open mind and to adapt it eventually?
I would definitely see it as an opportunity, because now, like when you use that, the old times, like there was a lot of gatekeeping, so you couldn't get your music heard by a lot of people if you were not signed by anyone. Now the game is very different. Like anyone can put their music up on streaming services, and then the algorithms are sort of not necessarily the gatekeepers, but at least the matchmakers. So there's definitely some that technology, you have to work with it, just like Pierre said. So automatically they would, like, algorithms connect your music with a lot of people potentially. So you definitely have to embrace it, because I think we are in an era where a lot of new music niches emerge, like a lot of new genres that didn't exist before, that didn't have a space before. Like recently I was listening to some medieval lo-fi music. Like I would never get that out of the shelves that we used to have back in the days. So that's definitely an opportunity for new niches, new music, and to connect with new people. So I would definitely advise to embrace it and not fear it, because it's not as complicated as it seems.
How did you benefit most from your participation in the ASCAP Lab challenge?
The highest benefit for us was it's basically a challenge, because we had to challenge the way we provide our insights to the people we're working with, because we joined the challenge in order to adapt our solutions, our services to basically any songwriter that would be an ASCAP member, not to data analysts from big labels or not big management companies with high trained professionals. How can you understand the insights Music Tomorrow has to share with you if you're just interested in writing music and good music? And that's where the challenge was very, very high for us. And we are so happy that we took it, honestly.
Did you learn anything from some of the other participants, some of the other teams that were sort of eye-opening, or did you feel some sort of kinship with the other teams because they were also going through their own process with all of this?
I would say, honestly, I was very excited about the other projects. I was like more of a, part of the audience when I was listening to what they were doing, to be honest. I mean, it was like but no, honestly, to be honest, I think what was amazing is that whatever the stage of your development, when you're thinking about that kind of challenge, the stakes are almost every time the same, right? You have to make sure that you are able to have a relevant product or solution or service for the people who are basically at the root of music creation, songwriters. So I think that's what was very exciting for all of us, I think.
Right. Julie, did you change your business plan or your business strategy coming out of the challenge in any significant way?
Yeah, with the challenge, our goal was to see if we could convert. Basically, right now, our product is essentially tailored for labels. And we wanted to see if we could adapt it to artists and songwriters, to see if we could basically translate and give them really actionable insights that any artist could use, whatever the stage of their career. And we got some really good feedback. So we did the work of almost creating a whole new product and a new offer for these artists. And we're just at the stage of we are experimenting, even using it for labels, because the work that we have done on making things easier to understand is useful for everyone. So we learned a lot in the process. And hopefully we'll launch this new offer very soon.
Wonderful. Well, this is all very exciting. Good luck with Music Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
RoEx offers AI-driven tools for multi-track mixing, mastering, audio cleanup, and quality control, designed to streamline and enhance the last steps of the creative process by delivering a professional and balanced mix with ease. Here is RoEx's Dave Ronan and Aggela Mourgela. Thanks for joining us, Dave and Aggela. How did you get interested in music and creating new tools for music creators?
Well, I guess for me, I mean, I've always been very much into electronic music, more kind of the experimental side of things. Like growing up, we listened to a lot of Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, basically anything off Warp Records or Reflex. And that kind of led me into like experimenting with synthesizers and getting into essentially music creation. But like, I remember the first time I opened the DAW, I think it was FL Studio. Well, it used to be called Fruity Loops at the time. So that's going back a bit. And I just remember being really overwhelmed by, like how to use it. I mean, I just want to create music. Like, how do I use this? Like, what's MIDI? why do I have to use a compressor? Like, what does a compressor mean? That kind of thing. So like that, I know that's obviously a challenge that all musicians have, when they first try and do any kind of music creation. So I also figured out I also figured out quite quickly I was more adept at the technical side of things than the musical side of things. And I had friends who were way better musicians than me. And, I ended up kind of supporting them a lot in their journey. And ultimately that led me to go study music technology. So I did a master's in that. And that's where I kind of I learned to mix and master. It was kind of then where we were kind of on the cusp of kind of AI becoming a thing. This is going back, this is 2010 now. And, I was like, surely there's a way at this point that, these things can be automated, because there's a lot of stuff, especially with mixing and mastering, where it's not essentially creative. Like, there is creative aspects to it, but there's a lot of legwork. There's a lot of stuff that, like, you're just, getting a quick rough mix, or like, you have to rest your ears. All these things take time. And I mean, especially to learn what a good mix sound like takes a long, long time. And it's not something that essentially that anyone who's just starting in music has these skills. And normally you just have to pay someone, which is quite expensive. So yeah, so ultimately this led to me doing a PhD at Queen Mary University of London in the Centre for Digital Music, which is one of the biggest music tech research groups in the world. Actually, it's where Aggela, I met Aggela, actually, was doing her PhD there as well. And I ended up doing a PhD with the founder of Lander, so probably the first AI mastering company to brought to you on the market.
Of course.
And I was working on intelligent audio production tools. And I guess by the end of it, I had some intellectual property around mixing, and no one else has really brought mixing to market. So that's kind of where we kind of the origin of RoEx. So we spun out of Queen Mary, and that's why we're here today.
Wonderful. Do you want to add anything to that, Aggela, or?
Basically, me and Dave have kind of similar starts to how we got into this whole thing. I myself am a musician and I'm a sound engineer. That's how I started. So we have kind of a creator mindset, let's say, going into this. We both come from the same lab at Queen Mary as well. So yeah, I would say this is basically what made us go into this whole business to begin with. So yeah.
Wonderful. So what is your elevator pitch to music creators, producers, and the industry at large about RoEx's capabilities?
Yeah, cool. Cool. I can give you that. So, so at a very high level, we build tools for musicians to give them the confidence they need to release their music on platforms like obviously Spotify, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, wherever it is they want to go. But more specifically, that's AI-driven tools for multi-track mixing, for mastering. We provide QA services for your music to make sure it actually is ready to go, and it ticks all the boxes for industry-grade sound. And we do things like stem cleanup and audio cleanup. So if you have less than ideal recording conditions, we can provide that. So essentially, if you're someone who's really creative but doesn't want to get involved with the technical side of kind of music production, that's where we come in. Basically, we provide all those services to get you ready before you go out.
So ultimately, how do you hope to build trust and adaptability among music creators?
Well, as you might have heard from our history of how we got into this whole industry to begin with, we have a creator-first mindset. We always wanted to be and place ourselves as an assistive partner in this whole creation process, rather than a replacement, which might feel a bit threatening to the creator at this point, especially with AI gaining momentum. So our goal in general was always to empower music creators and give them the tools that they need to open up new possibilities for them. But at the same time, kind of retain all of the creative control that they can have and full ownership of their work, which is really important. So for me, I think the way to achieve something like this would be in a combination of supporting the creator, educating about the use of AI and how we use AI, and especially within their creative property, essentially, and being transparent. And this is how we believe is going to, what we believe is going to help build more trust in AI assisted music production in general.
You said two magic words to ASCAP, creator first. We love hearing those two words together. So you were one of 5 cohorts in this year's ASCAP Lab AI in the Business of Music Challenge. How did you most benefit from your participation in the program this year?
So it was great participating in the challenge. It was a great experience for us overall. It was basically the most important thing for us was the fact that it gave us the opportunity to connect with other startups who are doing the same kind of using AI to support musicians essentially, and being able to have conversations and ask them questions about how they're navigating this industry, see them within the context of working towards a challenge, towards a project, which is great because it gives you the option to step back from your own journey and kind of see how others are doing this in this industry, basically. That was one of the most important things that we got from this challenge. And obviously also at the same time, we were able to share how we are navigating this industry, have people ask us questions, and kind of give us the option to reshape and refine the way we present ourselves within the industry as well, because we got so many opportunities to pitch our project, our company, the way we work, which was a great experience for us.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Did it change your business plan or the way you talk about RoEx in any way coming out of the program?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, we had actually a really good mentor session. I'll give a big shout out to Gregg Lehrman from Output, actually. He's a very successful entrepreneur himself. And we got to sit down with him and actually really ask him some kind of deep questions about, essentially about the business model and things like that, which are obviously very important when you are running a business. It's not just about the tech. And yeah, I mean, based on conversation with him, we were able to really help refine and kind of sit back, think about, how we're doing things the correct way. And I thought that was hugely beneficial. I guess the other thing is we had already been doing it. I mean, it's something that we weren't really kind of vocal about beforehand, is like how we train our technology is ethically trained. Like we did a lot of the training ourselves, and a lot of the machine learning that we use is actually to understand the signal. So it's not like we have a black box system that's trained on loads of Jay-Z mixes or anything like that. So, it kind of, I guess it made us realize more that we should probably be a bit more conscious of that and explain that, because obviously we're not the baddies, you know what I mean? We've done this ourselves. So I thought that was good as well.
Wonderful. What are the next steps for you guys?
Yeah, we've got some, other than what we were working on during this challenge, which I can explain a bit, is basically we're about to bring out the next version of our tool called Mix Check Studio. So the first one we brought out, version of it, was basically a free tool that allows you drag and drop a track that you've made. We'll analyze it, tell you what's wrong with it, and give you some actionable feedback so you can go back into your DAW and fix it. And it's a free tool. It will always be a free tool as long as RoEx is around. And basically, we've been working on the next evolution of that during the challenge. So we're very near to bringing that to the world. So we're in kind of closed beta. So the next version will do the same things with the feedback, and it'll always be there. But we're actually giving you the chance to allow us process the audio for you. So even if you don't have the stems, we'll be able to make your mix or master track sound better by some of the processing that we've done. So we're really excited to bring that out and bring that to the world.
Well, congratulations on developing your project this far, and good luck taking it into the future. So thank you for sharing your story with us, and we hope to hear more about you guys soon.
No, I mean, thank you. I mean, I want to say big thanks to the ASCAP Lab, NYU, and the NYC Media Lab. I mean, obviously, they've really helped with this. The support and guidance over the last few weeks it's been awesome. I highly recommend. I'm sure they will be doing this again next year. I highly recommend other people get involved and apply once the call comes out. Yeah, because we got immense value out of it. So yeah, thanks everyone.
The next team in this year's ASCAP Lab Challenge is SoundSafe.ai, who have developed robust, state-of-the-art audio watermarking using AI to enhance security, reporting, and the detection of real-time piracy and/or audio deepfakes. Here is Johnny Stevenson and Don Dada from SoundSafe.ai. Well, thanks for joining, Johnny and Don. Before we learn a little bit more about SoundSafe.ai. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into music, and your interest in protecting it?
Absolutely. I'll go first. My full name is Hamed Don Dada, lifelong music producer, background in cybersecurity, and produced records over the years while working in telecom, and kind of accumulated to where we are today.
My name is Johnny Stevenson, lifelong musician turned marketing turned manager.
What is your vision for SoundSafe.ai? How did it start? How did you come up with the idea? Tell us how far you've made it on the development side so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll speak on the story and I'll let Don speak on the development side. Me and Don have been musical friends to different musicians we've worked with together. Don was currently living in Montreal. He moved to Venice Beach, California to work in a writing camp for Post Malone. Their manager called me at the time. I had a video company, and he's like, hey, come down, document this for us. And we're like, okay. Me and Don have always butt heads about technology and music. And when we were living together for those probably 3 to 4 months in Venice Beach, we really manifested the solution and problems that we saw as like a manager, and then him as a producer. And we just bounced around different tool ideas, and from there it snowballed into effect to SoundSafe and what we have today.
Exactly. And it really touched on a point, and I was surprised that Johnny, beyond his managerial tasks and things like that, when I did propose to him the diffusion of technology and what we're doing, he kind of showed me that he has been in the circuit, participating with MITEM and things like that, understanding that the different technologies that are arriving can completely complement to what we're doing. And we took it from everywhere, from every iteration from blockchain to where we are today with AI.
So what is your elevator pitch of what SoundSafe.ai is?
Well, SoundSafe.ai is developing a robust, state-of-the-art audio watermarking to protect ownership and content, using AI to enhance the whole security, report it, and detect in real-time vocal defects.
Wow. It sounds very ambitious and very important these days. How do you plan on building trust among music creators, copyright owners, and the industry at large?
Well, we have multiple values that align with the people that are advocating, the proper usage and ethical usage of AI. So it's really not just about technology. At its root, it's about the people. It's about protecting the voices of the everyday people. It's about ensuring that the information we hear and that, we make informed decisions on what we're doing. At the end of the day, it's really the safeguard.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about what you took away from the ASCAP Lab challenge. How did you benefit most from your participation in this project?
Definitely. The one thing I think we as a team at SoundSafe took away from the ASCAP cohort and the NYC Media Lab cohort would be the detailed insights of the inner workings of PROs, record labels, publishing companies, musicians entering that sector. Just kind of the landscape of what we didn't see as like the consumers of music and producers of music, like the artists. We don't really get behind the curtain scenes on the business side, and from legal to just behind the scenes of what their daily operations are and what headaches they do deal with when it comes to copyrights and organizing different music publishing rights.
Absolutely. It definitely gave us a lot more clarity. It echoed back a lot of the notions we kind of thought we had. It put words to thoughts, I would say.
And one of my favorite things that I would take away from the cohort was the engagement with different people from ASCAP, and also bringing back previous year's cohort winners and people who were entered into the cohort, just to get like insight and feedback on how they experienced the cohort and what they did post, so we could just excel on any advantages or kind of gems they give us.
Right. So did you change your business plan or your strategy in any way coming out of this?
I wouldn't say a change of a business plan or any pivot or anything. There was a lot of polishing. Absolutely. It gave us, touching back to when I said to clarity and more of like echoes and putting words to thoughts, confidence. It gave us more confidence into what we're doing. Definitely, our business plan stands stronger than it ever did.
So finally, what are the next steps in the evolution of your project?
So right now, the next steps on the evolution of our project, we currently hired 2 new interns, and we're trying to partner with different organizations. Currently, we are in organizing a partnership and contribution to C2PA, and as well as other amazing organizations. Don can...
A lot of the, again, what we're saying, the advocates and people that are going towards, I would say, creating the underlying protocols or texts or the way we're going to move about, whether on the business side or on the technology side of AI and content. So we've aligned ourselves with the C2PA, which is comprised of a steering committee such as Meta, Google, Amazon and such, and even Sony. But also with a lot of the academic side of things. We've already spoken to many schools and colleges, but as of recently, we're aligning with the NCSA, which is based out of the Illinois University in Urbana-Champaign. And they have pretty much the lead when it comes to Illinois State on taking the initiative to both AI usage and ethics, but as well as the advancement in its technology. So we're doing joint research with them. We're doing a lot of, cross internships and personnel references and things like that.
And on the music side, with relationships we have in other countries, Don being from the Middle East, my connections in Brazil, we do plan on making more relationships with people we're in the conversations with, like ECAD in Brazil, ESME in the Middle East, and different PROs. Mainly, we're focusing on trying to build a relationship with these major labels, these PROs, and these mass scale catalog owners to be able to just manage their data a little bit better and get a clear view and transparency on what's going on behind the scenes.
One of the clarities that we got is we've always had an internal culture of deploying top down, and not necessarily on just an idea of B2B, but just the initial even education of and sensitization of what we're doing. Through ASCAP, the clarity that we're doing the right thing is that they initiate us to what the global consortium is, CISAC, and how they interconnect with all the PROs around the world. Being shown the inner workings of ASCAP, kind of given us the overall scope of everywhere else, and we've seen the differences between some PROs, really gives us a clear map into how to navigate now.
Yeah, we always been a big advocate of the intersection of AI and business, and especially in music. And when it comes to getting in the ASCAP cohort, we were very excited to just contribute like what we've been working on, but also kind of get an insight from everything they have to offer as far as like the team to what they got working on in the backgrounds. The most interesting takeaway I get getting more clarity from this cohort would be everyone, when we were building back a few years ago, was focusing on generative music and creative tools. We were kind of focused on more of business tools, way to, like what Don was saying, facilitate the top-down deployment to make sure we, the creative industry needs to be more secured. Business always comes first, and then, your creativeness kind of gets put out.
Right.
So.
Once these concerns are out the way, it allows you to freely flow with, your creative process, and which is in itself more of just like a studio art. And it's an interpersonal connection thing, and having everything in order, automated, really does free up that time.
Wonderful. Well, on behalf of all of our ASCAP members, we really appreciate the work that you guys are doing. It's a very exciting but very uncertain time for creators in general. So it's nice to know that we have people like you out there, working to make it more secure and protected. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Don.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Finally, you'll hear from Dave Thurlow from Wavelets AI, which is developing tools for artists, labels, copyright holders, content distributors, and DSPs that help reduce IP infringement by detecting AI vocals in music. Well, thanks for joining us, Drew. To get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get interested in music and protecting music copyrights?
Yeah, glad to be here. The AI explosion, especially in the consumer technology world, really kind of took a lot of musicians by surprise. And up until about a year and a half ago, I was a senior vice president of A&R at Sony. Previously, before that, I had been director of artist partnerships at Pandora. So, I've been a musician and been recorded for Warner Music Group. I'd also done A&R there. And in my long time in the artist community, the explosion of AI content, not only how much of it was, but also the ease at which someone could take a vocal model and then use someone's voice and then put it up on YouTube or TikTok. It was quite alarming, and there's a range of reactions to that process. Everything from curiosity to, oh, this is cool technology, I want to use it in my creative process, to someone stealing my voice, like this is going to replace me. And interestingly, there's been a lot of synthetic speech detection out there in the last couple of years, and it doesn't work on music. It doesn't work on singing vocals. It doesn't work on hip hop vocals. So we just thought there was a real need to be able to detect if a vocal in the music space was AI generated or not. And then from there, you can make an informed decision about what to do with it. But being able to detect it, I think, is going to be pretty important.
Well, it sounds like your experience in the music industry so far perfectly, arms you with the challenges and the opportunities that something like AI can present to this business. What is your business pitch to music creators or the music industry at large about Wavelets AI?
Yeah, so there's a lot of this content out there, and depending on who you are, your need for this might be a little different. If you're a major label or major publisher, you want to know if someone is taking your vocal model or some of your music, some of your artists' IP, and you want to know if they're using it and they're plastering it all over TikTok and YouTube, which I can tell you they are. If you want to find any artist at any era singing any song, then you will find it on TikTok or YouTube. And then from there, if you're a rights holder, then you can either issue a takedown notice, or you might even want to claim it. It's your IP. You might want to claim it for monetization. And there's a whole range of things you can do with it. That's kind of up to you. If you're a distributor, you don't want to be liable for distributing this kind of content, especially if it's deemed illegal, which it's not yet everywhere, but there seems to be headed that way. So you're going to need to police what you're putting out on your own through your own feed. And then if you're a DSP, then you want to make sure you're not hosting this kind of content. Again, if it's deemed illegal, and you want to be able to kind of like scan and police what's on your own platform. And then if you're an artist, you want to know if someone using your vocal model out there without your permission. And then again, you can decide if that's something you want to encourage, or whatever your personal philosophy is about this. But really putting the decision in the hands of the rights holders, or the owners, or the distributor, or the artists, I think is key here.
So you were one of 5 technology startups that participated in the ASCAP Lab's AI in the Business of Music Challenge. How did you benefit most from this opportunity?
I was really inspired by the rest of the other 4 companies that we worked with. And I think ASCAP did a really good job, because we all kind of fit along the value chain of music well. It was really nice to meet all the founders and kind of hear the challenges that they're dealing with day to day, and then seeing how we're all kind of siloed in our different sections, but being reminded that we're all part of the bigger ecosystem. And this AI and music challenge means it's going to be a challenge across the board for our industry to evolve the way that we all hope it will. As an ASCAP member, I'm really happy that ASCAP is investing in startups that are going to help their members, which I am one.
Wow. So you had a unique perspective on this. Did it change the way you talked about Wavelets AI? Like, did it sort of change how you define it to people that are just, learning about this stuff cold?
I don't know if it changed it, but what was really helpful was being able to practice our kind of elevator pitch over and over, and being put in front of different audiences, like composers and writers and other founders and members of past cohorts and executives at ASCAP, So it was really helpful to kind of get everyone's different perspective on your pitch. And we definitely was able to tweak it and refine it because of the audience I was able to expose it to.
So what are the next steps for you in your business?
Yeah, the next step is like, this is we kind of have a binary thing going with our technology. It either works well enough or it doesn't. And right now it works pretty well. But what we've learned in this AI landscape is that things get very good very quickly. Things mature and grow very quickly. Tech breakthroughs happen a lot. And when we're as a content detection company, we're only as good as our model. And there are different ways that people are using vocal models. There are different ways that people will continue to strip vocal stems and make AI vocal model copies off it. So we just have to be really on the forefront of that technology. And when new AI models come out, we have to make sure our training data can recognize it. So it's kind of like whack-a-mole, and it also works like virus software. But that's our challenge. That's as long as we're confident, and as long as we can get the precision well enough, then I think there's going to be a customer base when they're ready for this kind of company.
Well, thank you, Drew. Thanks for being an ASCAP member, first of all, and thanks for doing your part to make the world safe for music in general. So appreciate your time this morning, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Eric, and thanks to everyone else at ASCAP.
Thanks again to Gregg Lehrman, the ASCAP Lab Challenge Teams, CRESQA, Music Tomorrow, RoEx, SoundSafe.ai, and Wavelets AI for sharing their experiences and insights with us. If you want more information on the ASCAP Lab and would like to explore other on-demand content about ASCAP and AI, visit www.ascap.com/lab. And shout-outs to everyone who made this episode possible. Sarah Feingold and Eitan Rosenblum for editorial support, Tiffany Sims for graphic design, Kate Cordova and Holly Grace Jamili for social media support, MXM Tune, Rosalind Scher, and Kellen Pomeranz for our uplifting theme music, and Benjamin Keynes of SightSense Productions for audio and video editing. And if you enjoyed this episode of VERSED, please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, comment on our YouTube channel, and share the podcast to help grow our community. Thanks for listening.